Hi, I'm Gray. Let's talk about Bart Allen. Bart Allen, also known as Impulse, Kid Flash, and Never the Flash, first showed up in 1994 in the 92nd issue of the ongoing Flash series. He is the grandson of Barry Allen and Iris Allen, the son of Don Allen and Melanie Thawne, and the cousin of Wally West and Jenny Ognatz. He's kind of really in there when it comes to legacy. He would later go on to be one of the standout characters of the 90s next to Tim Drake as Robin, Superboy, the new Wonder Girl Cassie Sandsmark, the new Batgirl Cassandra Cain. He had his own ongoing series, 89 issues, 2 annuals, a 1 million special, a couple of standalone little comic trades that weren't quite Elseworlds, but technically non-canon. Bart Saves the Universe is excellent, by the way. If you ever find it, pick it up. So where did it all go wrong? Well, let's start from the beginning. Bart Allen only has 2 trades encompassing his ongoing series. The first is his first couple of appearances, Impulse, Reckless Youth. It's got his first couple of appearances in Flash and the first 6 issues of his series. And then we have Mercury Falling, which is in the 60s. Yeah, so we went through from 1 through 6, 60 to 67. Why? Well, the simple answer to that is Impulse as a comic is really frustrating to people who have to collect comics into trade because it's not really an ongoing series. It's a series of done-in-one comics all under the same name and starring the same person. So, I mean, it's technically an ongoing series, but is it an ongoing series the way we're used to? We're used to comics being 6 issues, breather issue. 6 issues, breather issue. At least we were in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Now it's like 6 issues, 6 issues, 6 issues, 6 issue. Gotta keep that trade schedule. Impulse was a series of just silly story. I remember one of my very favorite issues was one where he couldn't fall asleep. And there is a single page where he's tossing and turning and tossing and turning and looking at his clock and tossing and turning, and 24-ish panels are in that page. 1 second passes. And when he finally falls asleep, he has this intricate dream about how someone knows his secret identity, and it's really cool. And then when he wakes up, 5 minutes have passed. He's fully rested, but 5 minutes have passed. It's an amazing issue. But where would that fit in a trade? I mean, even the first 6 issues here are, let's see, it's the first couple of issues of him in the Flash, and then there's the first issue where he's going to school and writing an essay about where he's from, and then the second issue is him accidentally getting into a fight with his entire school. And then the third and fourth issue have to do with White Lightning, a recurring female character who I never liked how she was supposed to be like a 15-year-old girl, but she ran around with a very, very unzipped motocross jumpsuit. That always bothered me, but her power was literally controlling men's minds through charm, so, like, boobies. Gotta give the people what they want. Anyway, and then the final issue after that had to do with, you know, child abuse. As you do. 6 issues in and they're already tackling child abuse. It was a varied and, looking back on it, very unique and different story. I mean, where books like Robin had constant crossovers with the rest of the Bat family and a good deal of, crime fighting and adventures and just general gritty city life, Impulse was set in Manchester, Alabama. And was 100% the adventures of an old man teaching his young student patience. It was a very different comic. And I really wish it was collected more into trade. Oh, fun fact. 2014, I believe, 2013 or 2014, we were supposed to get a reissue of Reckless Youth with it restored, and even though this is from 1997. This trade is from 1997, and it doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's the comics of the time. That's how they looked. You can't really. What are you gonna do? Just add new color? That's ridiculous. So we were supposed to get this new collection, and it was gonna be great. It was gonna be a big collection. It was gonna be 300 pages. It was gonna be the first 12 issues plus the his first couple of appearances in Flash, and it was gonna be great. It was gonna be $25, but it was gonna be great. And it was going to come out around my birthday, and then it got pushed back to April, and then previews dropped it entirely, so we never got it, which was a disappointment, an incredible disappointment that I am still bitter about to this day. So, like I mentioned, where'd it go wrong? Well, let me show you a couple of books here. First off, this is Terminal Velocity. Terminal Velocity is an awesome story. I'm not gonna tell you the whole thing, but it's basically a big team up story where they fight an evil organization, and it's really cool. You may notice there are 2 people wearing the red Flash suit on this cover. Wally West, Jesse Quick. Why is Jesse in a Flash costume? Well, spoiler alert. During Terminal Velocity, Wally was kind of being absorbed into the Speed Force. He thought he was going to die, essentially. So he told Jesse that she was going to be the Flash after he was gone. I mean, we already had Jake Garrick, but, need that hot, sexy young Flash. So Jessie really took to it. She was all excited. She made her own Flash costume. It was really great. And then the ball dropped that Wally had basically only said that she was going to be the new Flash to stick it to Bart so that he would learn responsibility. Why? Oh, have I mentioned Wally West is an asshole. Early Bart Allen was a brat. But at that point in the 90s, especially to Bart, Wally West was an asshole. I know that's maybe a controversial opinion. It's not. But he was. And from there, their relationship didn't really get better. There are essentially three central figures in Bart's life who are speedsters. The first is, of course, Max Mercury, his mentor. The second is his cousin, Wally West, who dumped him off on Max because he didn't want anything to do with him because he didn't have time for a sidekick. Hand to God. That's a direct quote from Wally. And then there is Barry Allen, who Bart never actually meets. Not really. I mean, he meets him in a dream once, and he meets him when he has changed the universe so that all of the dead are back alive. And again, Bart Saves the Universe, great book, pick it up. But he never actually meets his grandfather until years later. Barry is Bart's hero in a way that Wally never was. Because all he's ever heard about Barry are these huge things, just these big adventures, these big important things he's done. He's Bart's idol. And it's really well illustrated in the comic that came just before Young Justice began, called World Without Grown-Ups, where they're in the Justice Cave, the original meeting place of the Justice League, and Bart looks up at this painting on the wall, and he hones in on his grandfather right away, and they just have this Bart and a picture of his grandfather have more familial chemistry than him and Wally interacting live and in person in 1997. Think on that. Well, anyway, the main thing about Mercury Falling that is so important is that was the comic where Bart began to evolve, because a lot of crap would get thrown at him after that comic. I mean, of course, they saved Max. Bart ended up being able to go into the Speed Force and get Max to where he wanted him to be, and there was... If you haven't read Mercury Falling, please do it. I mean, that is kind of a little bit of a spoiler, but you knew he was gonna live at that point, and it is an excellent comic. I cannot recommend it enough. If you can find it in your local comic shop, it's like $15. Get it. Its exact price is it's $15. It's $14.99. Get it. It's worth it. So anyway, after Mercury Falling, Bart discovered he had the power to create little speed clones of himself that he could send through time and space, and that was really cool. Yeah, at one point, while they were on Apocalypse, while Young Justice was on Apocalypse, Bart watched one of his speed clones die, and that was incredibly traumatizing to him, to the point where, for a time, he gave up the Impulse costume. It was a few issues, and like in comic time it was a couple of months, which is a long time for a speedster who is fully rested after 5 minutes of sleep and takes a very long time to fall asleep and basically experiences everything at a much slower rate than the rest of us. Let's see. Aside from that, between that, his friend Carol went to live in the future for a while, and you might notice that I'm saying everything is for a while, because comics are fluid, like the time stream, and a lot of stuff didn't seem permanent, though, at the time we thought it was permanent. One of the biggest things, however, was Max Mercury he didn't die. He was absorbed into the Speed Force. Max Mercury was absorbed into the Speed Force, and Bart had to leave Manchester and go live in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, with Jay Garrick and his wife Joan. Because they were living in Michigan at that point. For reasons. Actually, the reason was Joan had cancer, but that's a different part. She didn't actually have, like, the terrible life-threatening cancer that she thought she did. It was all a big setup by one of Jay's villain's rival, and they fought, and it was cool, and that is, that's that. But after that was resolved, Jay and Bart and Joan moved back to Central City. Well, they moved to Keystone City, and Jay was part of the Justice Society again, and Bart was going to high school there, and that was all really cool. And then, I'm not going to make any friends saying this, but Jeff Johns doesn't understand Bart Allen. Jeff Johns, I want to say Jeff Johns wrote the worst Bart Allen that there ever was, but I can't say that honestly without acknowledging that Flash Fastest Man Alive exists. Which it doesn't. It doesn't. Bart was never the Flash. That never happened. It happened. It was awful. But for the record, of the Flash stuff, of the Bart Allen stuff that is still canon, that was canon as of 2010, Jeff Johns wrote the worst Bart Allen. This is Blitz. Blitz had exactly 2 panels of Bart being Bart. 2 panels. Just 2 of them. Okay, so in Blitz, that's the story of how we got a new Zoom, and it was Hunter Zolomon. I mean, like, spoiler alert, but this was in, like, 2002, so I'm pretty sure y'all know by now. So we get Hunter Zolomon as Zoom, and Wally and Linda have just announced that they have that they're going to be having babies. That's awesome. And Zoom goes to presumably kill Linda, at least that's what we thought. And then we got exactly 2 panels of Bart being awesome. And here he is, and there he is, and whoop, he's been incapacitated. Immediately. I should probably mention that Bart and Linda have a better familial relationship than Bart and Wally ever did or ever will, because she gets him on his own level and doesn't try and raise him to a level that he is not and cannot be. So, Linda Park, you rule. Wally West, you suck. I mean, not honestly. He's okay. He's okay. When it comes to Bart, he sucks. He's awful to him. I mean, they're openly antagonistic to each other. Like, who does that? Who does that to their family? A lot of people do that to their family. I do that to my family. Not a lot of them. Just like one cousin. She started it. Anyway, so Blitz happened, and we got this flash vision, literal flash future vision of Bart as Kid Flash, and then, of course, there was the miscarriage, and all that happened, and all that plot happened, and then Ignition happened, where the Spectre erased everyone's memory of Wally West as the Flash, and bullshit, comics, essentially. And then, I don't actually have these issues for you to illustrate anymore. Graduation day happened. Prior to being on the Teen Titans, Bart was on a team called Young Justice. Young Justice was an awesome book. It also suffers a dreadful lack of trades. I suggest we start a letter writing, thing because, you know, apparently the Young Justice show is getting a third season. I never watched it. I feel really bad about that, but I'm not good at watching TV. Maybe if it's on Netflix at some point in the future, I'll binge it or something. I don't know. But Young Justice never really got trades. It got a trade with the first 6 issues. It got a trade with... It got a trade with the Sins of Youth crossover. And it got a trade for Graduation Day. Graduation Day killed off Donna Troy and Lilith. And yeah, Graduation Day happened, and then Young Justice broke up, the New Titans broke up, and from those teams, the Teen Titans and the Outsiders were formed. Those were both... Boy, were those books! Those certainly were books. Those... Damn were those books! I'm trying not to say anything too bad, because, I mean, this is my face. This is my face. I'm not faking anything here. This is my face. It's easily recognizable. But, oh god, The Outsiders was so bad. It was really bad. It was... I've never been a big fan of Judd Winnick in superhero comics. I mean, Under the Hood was pretty good. But, god, Outsiders was a book. And, confession, from 2003 to mid-2011, I bought every single issue of the 2003 Teen Titans series. I kind of did it as a form of penance for being a terrible person. I'm a terrible person, so I have to buy this terrible comic book every month. Like clockwork. At one point it was $3.99. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. I mean, a lot of good came from that book. A lot of good did come from that book. For instance, we got some great panels such as I'm sorry, I'm still laughing thinking about this. Bart confessing, when they were all confessing secrets, Bart's confessing, I sometimes run out of underwear before the weekend is over, so I steal Beast Boys, and Gar going, what? That was funny. That is funny. That was a funny moment. But overall, it was a not good comic, and here's why. I mentioned earlier, Jeff Johns doesn't get Bart Allen. I'm going to go a step further. I don't think he likes Bart Allen. Because he spends the first 6 issues torturing him. Actually, he spends pretty much his entire run torturing him. First, he kneecaps him in a kid's game. He has Joey Wilson in Slade Wilson's body shoot out his knee. So now Bart has an artificial knee for the rest of his time pre-reboot. He has to undergo surgery without anesthetic because the anesthetic wears off too fast and they wouldn't be able to give him anesthetic without possibly overdosing him. And after that, let's see, he sees that the girl that he used to have a crush on back when he was in the New Titans, because he was in the New Titans for a while, he sees that Rose Wilson has joined her father and become the new Ravager, which really hurts him because, you know, he did canon have a crush on her. Let's see. Following that, they travel to the future, where they see that pretty much everyone on their current Teen Titans incarnation is evil, except for Bart, because Bart is a mole. He is a mole for the Good Titans, and he's dating Rose, and she's gone good, and that's so sweet. But at the same time, it's really bad because then he gets back to the future and he's all riding his skateboard sadly and is just like, but will she be good in this timeline? And if she goes the good in this timeline, does this mean that all of you are going to go bad? And yada 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 yada. And then Infinite Crisis happened. Oh Lord. Infinite Crisis happened. And through magic, I'm going to say magic because I honestly, I think I blocked it out of my mind. I've blocked the majority of this series out of my mind, but during Infinite Crisis, Bart was aged up from physically appearing to be 15 to physically appearing to be around 21. Keep in mind, he's still 5. He's 5 years old. He is 5 years old in a 20-year-old's body. And, now my ultimate shame? I own both of the Flash Fastest Man Alive traits. I own them. I did not pay full price for them. I paid half price, which, I mean, that's still $6 too much for these books. They're just so bad. They're so bad. They're so bad, and at one point there's this scientist named Valerie Perez who's really just Carol Buckland grown up. I mean, come on, she's Carol Buckland. They look exactly the same. She's Carol Buckland. Anyway, Bart dies. Bart dies at the end. He's killed by the Rogues and Inertia, who came back just to be in this shitty series. Oh my god, it's so bad. I need a moment to center myself. Okay, so Flash Fastest Man Alive. Bart was aged up. He becomes the Flash. He fights the Rogues. He fights Inertia. He dies. That happens. Wally West comes back. All Flash 1 happens with incredible art. I mean, it's really good. It's Carl Kerschel drawing Inertia. I mean, that's as good as you're gonna get. That is, after a lifetime of being just drawn not very well, you get Carl Kerschel doing it, and it's like, wow, this is a terrible comic, but it looks so nice. And then we have the Lightning Saga. In the Lightning Saga, which essentially takes place at the same time as Full Throttle, the second half of Fastest Man Alive, Wally West and his family are brought back from the pocket dimension that they've been hanging out in for a year, which kills Bart. Because Wally takes his speed back. Because, did I mention this? The Speed Force, the thing that powers all the speedsters, was inside of Bart. That's why he was the Flash, even though Jay was also the Flash, for reasons. God, this comic is so bad! So anyway, Lightning Saga happens, and Wally comes back, and Bart dies, and it's sad, and then a year or two later, let's figure out the timeline here. Fastest Man Alive, Lightning Saga, Countdown. Ooh. Countdown happened, which has nothing to do with Bart, so we're not even going to mention it. Final Crisis. Legion of Three Worlds. Bart comes back. Bart, and this is actually pretty cool, Bart Allen is, in canon, one of 2 people that Superboy Prime is afraid of. He literally screams, "Not you!" when Bart is coming back. When Bart shows up again to punch him in the face, which, you know, as you do. Let's see. Where is it? Fuck it, never mind. I kind of just wanted to see it again because I love it so much. Because it's, okay, let me put it this way. It's George Perez drawing Bart, and it's good. It's really good. It's probably, until he was drawn by Nicholas Scott, the best he looked since Young Justice. He's very good at what he does. But yeah, so following that, following his return, who else came back during Final Crisis but Barry Allen? Barry Allen didn't want a Kid Flash sidekick, which was made really obvious in the second worst comic of all time, Flash Rebirth. Seriously, don't read this. I know I own it, but that's because I hate myself. I hate myself. So I own Flash Rebirth. Don't read it. It's not good. Okay, let me tell you the three good things that happen in this comic. Good thing number 1, Irie West, Wally and Linda's daughter, becomes the new Impulse. That's great. It's adorable. Her little pigtails have little Flash barrettes on them. It's so cute. I love her. And she totally looks up to Bart, and it's so cute, and I love it. Good thing number 2, we get Max Mercury back. That goes nowhere. He does not appear again. Useless. Useless. Good thing number 3, Jessie Quick goes back to being Jessie Quick. Because she'd been Liberty Bell in Justice Society, and she was Liberty Bell in Justice League for a while. Wait, did Justice League happen? She pretty much just goes between Liberty Bell and Jessie Quick whenever she wants, but she finally restored her connection to the Speed Force in Flash Rebirth, and so she went back to being Jessie Quick, and it was awesome, and I was happy, and then the rest of the series happened, and I was just like, because it was bad. It was really bad. For some reason, we got an origin for Barry Allen's bow tie. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. So, the last place Bart was good. Oh, you know what? No, I'm totally forgetting about Blackest Night. Blackest Night was actually a decent series. I thought so. I did. I mean, it was like, that's because I love zombies. I'm a sucker for zombies. If you look at my shelf back there, you probably can't see him from here, I have Black Lantern Reverse Flash up there. He's holding a head. The head did not come with him. I had the head. He's cool. And Blackest Night happened, and Blackest Night, The Flash, was mostly a rogue story, which was really cool, except for the fact that they didn't utilize the guy who did colors with the emotional spectrum. They didn't utilize Rainbow Raider at all, and Pied Piper barely appeared at all, and it was basically, let's make Captain Cold sad. It was the rogue side story wasn't the best. But the Flash side of the story was pretty good, actually. It tied heavily into the main Blackest Night book because, spoiler alert, Barry becomes a deputy Blue Lantern for a little while, for reasons. I guess it's because you couldn't have the brave and the brave, right? It's the brave and the hopeful. For those not in the know, the Brave and the Bold was the nickname for the Flash, Barry Allen, and Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. They were BFFs. They were basically bro-married. It was pretty cool. Which minor plug for the Brave and the Bold, Flash and Green Lantern by Barry Kitson and Mark Waid, came out in like 2001. It's in trade. It's like $12. If you can find it in a comic store, get it. It's super good. Anyway, back to Blackest Night, and we finally actually get to see Barry and Bart interact. Because in Flash Rebirth, he kind of shrugs him off, and it feels like a really dick move. And then in Blackest Night, he is like, no, I totally care about you, grandson. And it's like, yay, you acknowledge that the child that sees you as his hero matters to you. That's great. Then that goes nowhere because immediately following Blackest Night, we got the Brightest Day Flash series, which was all about Barry. The first arc, The Dastardly Death of the Rogues, was... it gave us the Renegade, so I was like, okay, but... Then The Road to Flashpoint actually featured Bart, and it featured an intervention. It literally featured an intervention for Barry because he was being a dick to his grandson, because he didn't want to spend any time with him. Hand to God. I was just like, you're writing this character this way, and then you're surprised that the fan response is negative to the point where you have to have an intervention by Barry's family members who are saying, listen, dude, take the kid out for ice cream. It's really bad. And then we got to the shining grace, the shining light, the beautiful, beautiful thing known as Kid Flash Lost. Kid Flash Lost by Sterling Gates was the first time Bart Allen had been Bart Allen since 2003. It was a beacon of light. There had been rumors. There had been rumors that Sterling Gates was going to be on a Kid Flash ongoing after he came back during Final Crisis. And those rumors, they swirled around for 3 years. They swirled around for 3 years. And they went nowhere. And then Kid Flash Lost I say cropped up, but it crapped up. It was part of Flashpoint. Flashpoint was awful. Don't read it. And Kid Flash Lost cropped up. And it was on point. It was so good. It was... Okay, so Bart has to go through time talking to and alternatively absorbing the speed of speedsters that, had come before him. He meets Max Mercury, and he meets Jay Garrick, and he tries to find Wally West, but in the Flashpoint universe, Wally West is dead, which, thanks. I'm getting a little choked up because I'm remembering, once he has absorbed all the Speed Force he can from all these other speedsters, he gives it to his grandfather so that he can be fast enough to run back and keep himself from trying to save his mom and essentially save the world. And in that one instant, Bart becomes a White Lantern. And then he has the exact same death sequence as his grandfather did in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I just want to read this to you guys because it's really good. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be looking down, and please enjoy the top of my head. I can feel the warmth of the Speed Force taking me, pulling me in again. I regret nothing. I don't regret what I did today. Now, for possibly the last time, my name is Bart Allen. I'm Kid Flash, the fastest teen alive. Today is the day that Kid Flash raced the Flash, and it's the day that, in order to save everything, Kid Flash lost. But because I lost, that means an entire universe will win life. It felt good to throw this race. I mean, sometimes you gotta let the old guys win in order to make them feel special, right? But we all know I'm way faster. Kid Flash fact. And that was the end of Bart Allen. And it was a good end. It was a fitting end, because that was the end of his evolution. He started off as this bratty kid that didn't think before he leaped, and he was named Impulse, and he had pretty tough time just adjusting to people because he was raised in virtual reality, which was the only thing that could keep up with his mind and his rapidly changing body, which aged a year every few months he was alive. And in the end, he gave everything he was to save the universe. And that was amazing. And then the New 52 came, and for some reason they thought, oh, you know who should be writing teen heroes? Scott Lobdell. But we're not going to talk about that, because that's not Bart Allen. Boy, was I actually really relieved to find out that wasn't Bart Allen. Bart Allen, Impulse, Kid Flash, and Flash for like 6 seconds. He's my favorite character. He is. He's the character who I relate to the most. He has often been called the poster boy for ADHD, which, fun fact, I have that. That's why this video is going to end up being 45 minutes long, when I was meaning to make it like 10, because I keep going off on tangents. He spoke to me in a way that a lot of other characters hadn't, and for about 10, 11 years of my life, he was a good thing for me. And I hope the people seeing this video decide to look up the Impulse series. You can get it on Comixology. You can get the back issues on places like Midtown Comics and eBay. And of course you can always try and find them at your local comic shop, or try and find the trades. But I really hope that you guys look into early Bart Allen, and I hope I've made a few fans today, because he really is great. And I have him on my laptop. He's my son. He is my child. And I'm Gray. I've spent entirely too long talking about speedsters, but hey, what else is new? Good night.